safe harbor statements. Both the speaker and host are organizing this meetup at individual capacity. We are not representing our organization here. This presentation is strictly for learning purpose. We do not hold any responsibility that same solution will work for your business use case. This presentation is not meant for any promotional activities. So yeah, over to Aman.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So hello everyone. So today we'll be talking about the API catalog, the new emerging topic. So we'll start by understanding the API catalog in Salesforce, its purpose, and its key component. Next, we will discuss the value that it brings to how it improves the discoverability, and then we will walk through the technical process of connecting the Salesforce with MuleSoft Anypoint platform. We will then bring it all together with a live demo, and yeah, after that, we will also test your knowledge. And to wrap up, we will open the floor to your question and discussions. So let's start. Yeah. So what is API catalog? So yeah, I'm really excited to talk about something that's becoming increasingly vital in modern integration strategy, the API catalog. So as the number of API in an organization grows, so does the need for a system that helps team discover, manage, and govern them effectively. This is where an API catalog comes in, acting as a centralized searchable library of API, helping developers, architects, business teams find the right API for the right task without reinventing the wheel. So today we will explore how the Salesforce API catalog in combination with MuleSoft helps bring structure, visibility, and control to the APIs your organization depends upon. So what exactly is an API catalog? An API catalog is a centralized repository that stores and manage information about all the APIs available across an organization. Think of it like a well organized library, but instead of books, it holds powerful services like from payment API to customer data connector, making them easy to discover, reuse, and govern. So, like a good catalog isn't just a list, it's a metadata rich searchable interface that includes descriptive fields like name, version, owner, domain, and a good API specification like RAML or Open API. So, like and some governance tools like tagging, usage, and approval workflow. Now, you might ask, why do we need an API catalog at all? So, well, in large organization or even mid-size organization, APIs often become scattered across teams, tools, and platform without creating without a catalog, you end up with duplicated efforts, unmanaged version, and security blind spot. So the API catalog solves that by acting as a single source of truth, enabling teams to collaborate, enforce standards, and plug these APIs into business workflow more easily than ever. Okay, so let's talk about some key points. Yeah, so within the Salesforce API catalog, all your business API are brought together in one centralized location. This simplifies discovery and allows teams across the organization to reuse existing APIs, saving times and reducing duplication of the effort. Yeah, but it just doesn't stop at just centralization. It also helps you stay in sync with live data. So API catalog ensure your services are always in sync. When linked with a MuleSoft, any changes or update to API are automatically reflected in the API catalog, meaning your team are always working with the latest version. And when your API are current and connected, you can start building powerful automation. So once APIs are synced, you can activate specific operation as reusable actions. These can be seamlessly integrated into Salesforce tool like Apex or Flow Builder, streamlining the process and accelerating the automation across business units. And as your API library grows, this automation capability scales effortlessly. So the API catalog supports scalable growth by encouraging reuse of existing services. This not only boosts developer productivity but also ensure consistency and compliance across integration. So now that we have understand what an API catalog is and why it's so important, let's zoom into how Salesforce specifically implement this concept. Let's walk through some key concepts and capabilities you should be uh, I'm sorry. Yeah. So let's walk through some key considerations and capabilities you should be aware of when using Salesforce API Catalog, especially in combination with MuleSoft. So, like these criteria help Salesforce accurately discover, sync, and activate your APIs in an environment. So, first of all, your API must, when syncing the MuleSoft API back to the Salesforce, it has to be a REST API. Like currently, only REST-based API are currently supported, and SOAP and other protocol are not eligible for the synchronization. Then we have some required tags that we require on Anypoint Exchange for our API spec that we have. So the first tag is SF API catalog. So like this is the tag label that we are required to put in our API specification, which marks the API to be eligible for sync with Salesforce API catalog. The second tag that we have is SF API topic. This is the tag that is only required if the API include agent topic action and action annotation that are to be used for the agent force. And the third most consideration is your API. You need to have an exposed endpoint for it to be used in the API catalog. So like at least one deployed instance of the API must expose a valid HTTPS endpoint. So like these URL are displayed as destination endpoint in the Salesforce API catalog and are used to connect the catalog to live data sources. Yeah, and just one pro tip here: without this tag, the SF API catalog, and without a valid endpoint, your API won't be discoverable in the Salesforce API catalog. So it's important to align your publishing process in Anypoint Exchange accordingly. Yeah, so let's also talk about the API action activation in Salesforce. So like activate API action in to use in Salesforce catalog. Uh, yeah, so once you have selected an API from your API catalog in Salesforce, you can activate specific actions that are relevant to your business workflow. This action can then be leveraged within automation like flows or Apex or like agent force. By activating the necessary actions, you make them available for use in the processes. So first, you have to like create a connection to authorize the use of activated action for APIs or HTTP callout. So once activated in Salesforce, MuleSoft Automation Developer can publish invocable action directly from RPA or composer flows also. So sometimes there may be action that you no longer need, especially if the integration or automation changes. In those cases also, you can deactivate actions from the Salesforce API catalog to prevent them from being triggered. And for more advanced integration using the MuleSoft for Agentforce, you can allow Anypoint platform API developer to define topics, metadata, and actions tailored for Salesforce agents. So having covered what the API catalog is and why it's important, along with the key consideration for implementing it effectively, let's now shift our focus to the practical side of things, setting up the API catalog. So yeah, setting up the API catalog involves several prerequisites and steps to ensure a smooth connection between Salesforce and the Anypoint platform. So this process is crucial to allow the seamless exchange of information and actions between the two platforms. First, we'll walk through the necessary prerequisite to ensure everything is in place beginning the setup. Then we'll dive into the step-by-step guide on how to connect Salesforce with the Anypoint platform, followed by a live demo showcasing the setup in action. So in order to create the connection between Salesforce API catalog and MuleSoft, connection has to be performed. So on the Salesforce, if you go to your Salesforce setup and search for Anypoint platform setup, you will see the if the connection is not already there, you will see the options to create a connection. Uh, f- on the initial first time, you will it will give you the Salesforce tenant key that you have to keep handy. It will come later on the Anypoint platform. So once you you have your tenant key ready, you can then go to the Anypoint platform, and under the access management, you will see a Salesforce dialog there. So if once you have the Salesforce dialog, you can then add your Salesforce org to the Anypoint platform. So if you click on the Anypoint add Salesforce org, it will prompt you an option to add your tenant key that you had from the previous step. So once you add this tenant key here and you click on add, so it will give you a Anypoint organization ID that you can use and you can put it back into your Salesforce setup. So here, if you see, we have an option of Anypoint platform organization ID. So this organization ID is provided in this step by the Endpoint platform. So you can interchange this tenant key and Endpoint platform organization ID with the each software. So after creating a successful connection, you can then enable the API catalog from the Salesforce to allow the MuleSoft to publish those API in the Salesforce API catalog. Uh, when you have all of these ready, so you can then just finalize a trusted relationship by going to any platform, go to access management, and go to the Salesforce and enable a trusted relationship toggle switch. You just have to select the right appropriate business group for your APIs in to be visible into the Salesforce API catalog. And if you see here, I have attached some screenshot. This is the connection information that you will see on the Salesforce. So we will have the Anypoint organization, the organization ID, the organization admin, and the email address of the MuleSoft Anypoint platform on the Salesforce setup. So you can here enable all of these switches for your requirement. And in below screenshot, you will see the Anypoint platform Salesforce. The Salesforce org has been successfully added, and you can enable or disable the appropriate action that you want. Yeah. Then we can. This is the sample screenshot that we have attached for the test API, and there you see in this exchange specification, we have added a tag as SF API catalog. So this tag allow this API spec to be visible into the API catalog in Salesforce, and then we can import the selected API into Salesforce to enable the visibility and access management. Then if you go to your API catalog in Salesforce, you will see the same API has been synced there. It may take some time to sync the API, but if you have correctly done all of the steps mentioned, you will see your API that is here. Then you can enable it to use in flows or Apex or like Agentforce. Yeah. So let's talk about some benefits of the API catalog that we have. So allowing the API to be visible into the API catalog in Salesforce allows to use the API in Apex or LWC component flows or Agentforce. So once API are synced to the API catalog, they become like discoverable and accessible within Salesforce for integration, automation, and like UI enhancement. So you can use the API as an external service in your Apex code. You can use the same external service as a Lightning Web component without having to rely on the endpoint authorization, base path, and everything. So the similar steps can be performed in the flow integration, allowing the Salesforce developer to easily have the access to any API from the MuleSoft without relying on the need of having the complete technical information about the endpoints. Yep. So now we will move to the demonstration of how the setup is done, and this will be done by Harshit. Over to you, Harshit.
Yeah, thanks, Aman. So, just to consolidate what exactly API catalog is. So, previously, as a Salesforce admin or architect, they don't have access to all the APIs at a single place. So, let's say if we have a Salesforce API or a MuleSoft API or a Heroku API or any kind of API. So, with this API catalog, you have a consolidate view and it's present on your Salesforce platform. So and but it's built on MuleSoft technology. So you have all the APIs, no matter whether it's hosted or using which platform, and even if it's an external API or that's built not on MuleSoft but it's somewhere else, but you can still bring it on a API catalog, and you can utilize it over like Apex Flow and the Agent Force as well. So let me quickly show you how we can connect our Mules Mules Anypoint platform and Salesforce. Yeah, let me know once my screen is visible on.
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay, so in Salesforce, if you want a quick find, you search for Anypoint platform. Here you can see there is an option for an Anypoint platform setup. Yeah, we are already there. So if you click on view connection information, we already made a connection like for this demo purpose, and there will be a pop-up for the Anypoint organization ID. For that, you have to go to your Anypoint platform, and under Access Manager, there is an option for a Salesforce. This is a new option that is newly provided by MuleSoft and Salesforce. So there is an option to add your Salesforce org. So this Salesforce org tenant ID will be visible over here. Then once you copy that tenant ID, you have to paste it here, then click on add. You have to provide the Salesforce org name here. Let's say for the time being, I provided it as meetup demo. Then it will provide you the organization ID that you have to paste back here in your Salesforce. So once the connection is built, then what next? Like what will be the next step? So for that, we have to move to the design center where we will design our API for the very first time. And let me show you. Mm. So the steps that Aman already mentioned, that first we have to design our API and we have to publish it over Exchange. For the time being, for an example, let's say this is order inventory API. So you can see under summary, like it's an API with these 5 endpoints which compose of get and post method, and there is an option to tag our API. So we have to be very specific at this point because it's a prerequisite, you can say, from the API catalog side. If your API is tagged with this sf-api-catalog, then only it will be visible over Salesforce platform. So this tagging is must. Then so it also provide you a provision. Let's say if we have multiple APIs and out of which we only want few to be visible over API catalog, so it provide us the provision, so we can tag only those which we want to be visible over Salesforce. So yeah, this is the first checkpoint that we need to consider. Then once our API is here, then we have to create an instance in API manager for our API. Okay. So we have already created one instance here. If you see, our API is already deployed over runtime manager over Cloud Hub. So once your API is deployed, then you have to provide your cloud URL, the base URL here. Like the customer endpoint and the upstream URL need to be configured here. There is a one catch as well. Like this is the particular URL that we receive from the deployed API. Let me show you over the runtime manager. If we go to the runtime manager, this application is already up and running. If you see, the URL is till the cloud.io only, but here in the API manager we specify here with the slash API because API catalog only reads this particular URL. So we have to provide this slash API, and once this is also the key checkpoint for the API catalog, you have to provide this consumer endpoint and the upstream URL as well. So once these two things are done on the Anypoint platform side, on the Mule side, so then we will move to the API catalog in the Salesforce. API catalog, you will search here for API catalog. So once the connection is done and you have done the tagging thing you have done over the exchange, and also in the API manager you provided the upstream URL and the consumer URL, then your API will reflect here in the API catalog. If I show you our exchange, only two APIs we have built so far for the demo purpose. One is the demo mule API and the order inventory API. So the both are here, but if you notice, like under the connection status, there is one is inactive and other one is active. Initially both will be inactive. You have to activate these, like to utilize these APIs in Apex or Flow or Agent Force. So for that, let me show you how we can activate this, make them these endpoint invocable. So all the endpoints will be reflected here, like with the method, right? So for the timing, the connection status is inactive. Now we have to go to the new connection, and yeah. So here the implementation URL is here. Like if you see that we have provided in the API manager, so it's eh, reflected by its own. So create connection. Now it's setting up the credential, external credential permission set. Uh, s- all those things are done by Salesforce itself. We don't have to go to the, uh, we don't need to create the external connections and all. So it's taken care by Salesforce itself now. So there is a one more key step that you have to consider, like manage user assignments. So we have to provide the permission set for which particular users who can access this particular API. So for the time being, let me assign this system admin, that is the demo meetup. So yeah, permission is assigned for this particular user. I'm going back to the API catalog. Mm. So if you see now, the connection is active for this one as well. Okay. Okay, now we have to activate actions as well here. So for which operations you want to activate, you can choose from there. For the timing, let me select all of them. Click on update. Okay. Now let me show you, like the external service will be created for our API by Salesforce with the name order inventory API. So this is the that Salesforce provide, like it's taking care of creating all these things, like the name credentials will be there, external services it's creating by its own for our API. Just we have to use a UI, just by click and this thing we are able to create this one. So now moving to the flow, let me show you how we can consume this over the flow. New
Uh,
flow.
Harsh, sorry to cut you, but before moving forward, so can
Mhm.
we take one question? There is one question.
Yeah, for sure.
In order to consume an external API through API catalog at
Uh-huh.
Salesforce, I could see that there is an option enabled in MuleSoft Access Management, with which will we publish them to Mule, or do we have any other alternative approach for the direct access at Salesforce? So will you answer this?
Ye- uh, so let me know if the question is, I'm getting it right or not. Like, if you create a new API in MuleSoft, and then will it be visible in Salesforce? Okay, in order to consume an external API, I have a question. In order to connect external API through API catalog at Salesforce, I could see that there is an option enabled in MuleSoft Access Management, with which will we publish them to Mule, or do we have any other? Yeah, first we have to publish our API. Let's say first we have to publish our API in MuleSoft. Then it will be automatically synced. Like once we have the connection, it will be automatically synced to the Salesforce. Let's say for the timing, we made the connection that I showed you. Yeah. Once we build this connection, you just have to create the API in Design Center and publish it over Exchange, give it a tag and deploy it over Cloud Hub. And in the API manager, you have to provide the URL. Then it will automatically reflect in the API catalog. There is an option for the sync. You can click on that. Let me show you. So these two APIs are there for the timing. Let's say if I create one more API in the Anypoint platform over the Design Center and publish it over Exchange, and I want it to be synced. So I don't need to create the connection again and do all the dance perform that I showed you again. You just have to click on refresh. It will automatically populate here. So let me know if I'm able to answer your question. Yeah. I think the API is not a Mule API. Yeah, for the timing, what we explored here for the this meetup, we just explored like from Mule API how we can sync with Salesforce. Yeah, there is a exactly there is a an option like any kind of API we can bring it over the Salesforce. There is a provision for that, but we didn't explore that path yet.
There is
Yeah,
one more question.
yeah. For the time being, API catalog only uh, have those APIs which having a client ID enforcement or no auth, like no any policy, like without any policy. Because the demo that we are showing, like both the APIs don't having any client ID enforcement or any kind of policy. But yeah, there is, if you're using API via API manager, if you impose any policy, it API catalog will work only for the client ID enforcement. For the client ID enforcement, API catalog will work. Yeah.
Harshit, Abhi here.
Hey, hi.
Hey, hi. I'm sorry, it was Aman who has shared a brief note about API catalog, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, I think he has shared in one of his slides that whenever an organization
Mm-hmm.
who supports an application like Salesforce, which has a
Mm-hmm.
feature of API catalog,
Mm-hmm.
it is not necessarily like we need to, like only publish in Mule, but also have an
Yeah,
accessible through Salesforce, but also can enable external access of an API, which is supported by not a MuleSoft.
correct. It could be a
So
Java API or Heroku API. Yeah.
okay, in a way, how does it works since it is not nowhere related to Mule?
Mm-hmm.
So the way that how we connect to the central repository by means of adding a dependency directly over to Mule, or will there be any connection established in Salesforce so that I can able to consume the API through my API catalog?
Yeah, for that part we haven't explored that, because for this meetup we just focused on Mule APIs to Salesforce, like for the API catalog part. But yeah, API catalog have a feature in which if the API is not a Mule API, or it's on any other platform, there is a provision for in the documentation. If you read, there is a provision to onboard those APIs in a API catalog as well, and you can consume them via Apex and all.
Okay, we haven't explored it, but still we do have an
Yeah.
option to consume it. Okay.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Because
Thank.
this API catalog is very much new. So
And
yeah,
it's a vast
and-
topic,
yeah,
though. So yeah, we might be covering those concepts in our upcoming meetups for sure.
Okay, got it.
yeah.
And I have one more question.
Uh-huh.
So when we are about to consume such API specific to Mule, is
Mhm.
it always necessary that I should follow, I know, like a tag so that I can consume that?
Yes,
It
yes.
okay.
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah.
Thank you.
That. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So yeah, so for the timing, we have only two APIs. Let's say if I create one more API and publish it over Exchange and put the tag and all, then I just have to refresh in my API catalog and it will populate here. But yeah, this sync gonna take some time. It's something around 20 to 30 minutes it's gonna take to sync those APIs here. I don't know what's the reason. It should not take that much time, but yeah, it takes time. So we are here. I'm gonna show you how we can utilize them over a flow. Okay, scan from scratch, auto launch, create can use section. So here, if you see the external service is there, like this is one for the demo mule, but we are looking for the order inventory API. For the time being, let me show you. Apple check. Okay. Inventory API. Sorry, click and save. Let me debug it. Yeah. Uh, mm, Let me change this flow with. mm, mm, Call out. Check. And else. It's gonna be get method. Mhm. Yeah, here you can see if we click on connect, got the response. So yeah, this is how we can directly consume this. Like for the this Apex call and the flow, we are still exploring how we can exactly consume this. But yeah, we are able to make call directly to the uh, Mule APIs from Salesforce. Now instead of creating a platform event, we can directly use a flows or Apex without writing any piece of code. So this is the provision that API catalog provides us. So yeah, any questions? Like yeah, that is all for the demo that I have for today. We are open for the questions if someone have. Uh, oh, yeah,
Yeah, we have a trivia also. Yep. So I'll be sharing my screen with the Kahoot link. So yeah, just give me a minute.
Harshit and Aman, there is a question from Nazari. So can you please
yeah.
take a look?
We'll set up right now. Salesforce say that I need. So for that, uh, uh, if you want to directly connect to your API, you have to, if you like don't need the client ID enforcement, you have to remove it from the API manager. Like you have to remove the policy. So
Nazari, you have access to unmute yourself. If you have like more queries, you can directly unmute yourself.
yeah.
Yeah, the way
Mm-hmm.
this works for me is I cannot remove my policy applied, and that's not a client ID enforcement one. That's allows to point our policy with MuleSoft provider. And
देखियो
I'm
हटा
just want
सकते हैं
to know
policy.
if I can still, if I get it right, that I can still connect my MuleSoft API even with this policy applied to Salesforce API catalog, but with other method like using Apex or something like that.
So, what I'm getting is like you you are not able to remove the policy, right? That
Yes,
you
yes, yes.
applied from the API
That's a
manager.
mandatory requirement for me. Yeah.
So, and as per the use case that you mentioned, you want to remove it, right?
No, no, no. I don't want to remove it. I want to, even with this policy applied, I want to connect my API, my MuleSoft API
To API
to
catalog.
Salesforce API catalog. Yeah.
Yeah, that's possible. That what I mentioned is like it. The API catalog can access those APIs only which
Mm,
having a client ID
okay,
enforcement.
okay. So it can
Yes,
access
this is
third
the
party
yes. Yeah, this
APIs. Okay.
particular APIs are can be add to the API catalog and then further consumed by Apex and all flow and all.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Thanks for
Mm.
answer.
This is the only API that API catalog like allows. For the time being, maybe in future they will future scope they will add other policies as well, like OAuth and other policies.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Aman, over to you.
Yeah, I'll be sharing my screen. The Kahoot is ready. Yeah. I hope my screen is visible.
No, it's not.
Is
Yeah, now it's visible.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. Everyone, please join the Kahoot.
nice friends. Shaman is also there.
I think we are good to start.
Yeah, let's start the quiz. Yeah, everyone, please be ready. Yeah, so when was the MuleSoft API feature was available in Anypoint platform?
Is it January 2025, February 2025, December 2024, March 2025? Got incorrect answers.
Yep. Moving on, we have Ishalveer on the first place. For
Pragati and then Snakshi. Yeah. Great.
right.
Ishal, we're on the top, then we have Snakshi, then Raj. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a new runner-up, Raj Swami.
And Priyanshu Dhawan is the highest climber. Next question. What benefit does the API catalog have over traditional named credentials? Option 1. Option A requires manual setup of credentials. B supports Apex callouts, provides centralized API management and automation setup. Then option D doesn't support permission setup. Oh my god, 26 correct answers. Shilveer is still on top. Mannat is the highest climber now. What kind of Salesforce automations can an API catalog extensively use it? Apex classes, flows, agent extensions, composer. So correct answer is flows. Ishilveer is still on top. What are the key points to sync MuleSoft API directly to the Salesforce API catalog? Ishal, we're still maintaining first position. What must you do in Salesforce setup to begin syncing APIs from MuleSoft? Install a package, create a permission set. When ready, use Salesforce to toggle access data from MuleSoft Anypoint platform API, manually enter API URLs. This one was interesting. We have Ishalveer, Pragati, Sonakshi on our podium. So yeah. Mm, what platform must Salesforce be connected to in order to use API catalog? Heroku, MuleSoft Endpoint Platform, Endpoint Studio, Endpoint Composer. This is the easiest one. 21 got right. Great. Oh, Pragati is on top. Great. What automatically gets prompt up when activating an API via API catalog? Custom Visual Force page, Apex controller, permission set, Salesforce Connect object. Fourteen people still got right. Yeah. Pragati is on top. So yeah. Women in tech. What is the tag label required on API spec for API catalog? You have to type your answer. Let's see who will answer this right. It's SF API catalog. Let's see who. On third number, it starts Swami, then Sonakshi, and then on number one, we have Pragati. Many congratulations, Pragati, Sonakshi, and Raj. I will be reaching out to Pragati as I have a special gift for you, and we'll share with you over an email. So thank you everybody for joining and taking out time on Friday and joining us meetup. So thank you so much. Hope you learned few new things, and it was really a great session. Aman and Harshit, thank you so much
Thanks,
for
everyone.
putting
Thanks for
in.
joining.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Happy weekend. Bye.
Happy weekend.